Hi, this is TJ with Piano Clubhouse, and today I'm going to show you how to play Party in the USA as sung by Miley Cyrus. Really fun song to play. I'm going to show you the piano accompaniment part as opposed to the piano solo. And I'll show you the difference between the two once we get into the song. We're going to be in the key of G flat. We've got G flat, A flat, B flat, technically C flat, D flat, E flat, F, and G. 7 flats in the key of G flat. So, the introduction. Real easy. Left hand, right hand just doing 2 chords. G flat major chord, which is G flat, B flat, and D flat. Then the D flat stays while these two move to the left 1 note of the scale to F and A flat. So this now becomes a D flat major chord. D is in dog. Okay, so we're just going back and forth between these two chords. Boom. G flat, D flat, D flat, G flat. One more time. Okay. Left hand. Left hand just going back and forth between D flat and E flat. Okay? One more time. And you might have saw me just kind of playing a pickup note with this B flat, just to kind of help fill in some of the dead space. I'm slowing it down so you can hear it. Okay, so it's optional. You can throw that B flat in there if you like to just kind of help fill in some of the gap, or as a pickup note. But for the most part, that's the introduction. Okay, so it starts off like that, then the actual verse begins like that as well. So the introduction does that twice. Still intro. One more time. Now Miley comes in. Uh-oh. Now, as soon as that happens 2 times with the solo, then we're going to shift gears a little bit. The song's starting to pick up, starting to build up steam. The drums come in real hard. And so with that, we're going to start to shift down. Left hand's going to jump. We were here. Left hand's going to jump down to a G flat, but we're going to jump down to the one way down here. We're going to play low G flats. And let me give you the left hand pattern. G flat, then B flat twice, then E flat, D flat. One more time. G flat, B flat, D flat, E flat, and then D flat. Alright? Right hand is technically going to be playing the exact same chords, but since the left hand's moved down to kind of intensify the song by getting a little lower on the piano, we're going to do the same thing with the right hand. Instead of doing it here, right here, that's what we were doing before. We're going to move this down an octave to here. So this is still a G flat major chord. Excuse me. We still have the same. Matter of fact, this is your G flat that we did it here. We're just doing an octave lower, but we're going to invert it up 1 time. So this is where we're at now. B flat, D flat, and G flat, still the same chord. And then we're doing the same progression to D flat major. We're still pivoting around this D flat. lazy, I guess, you could still keep it in the same inversions here, and it'll sound fine. Let's add it with the left hand that I showed you, and I'll show you both ways with the right hand. So this is the first inversion, keeping it in the same spot we were in the introduction. You can see just by moving my hand down in inversion from here down to here, it kind of makes the song drive a little bit more. It kind of becomes more intense. It fills up a little bit more. It just sounds better as the song is building up from a real light introduction to a real light part of the verse. Then it builds up to more drums. You want to kind of build that same intensity with your piano. So we're up here the first in the introduction, beginning of the verse. We shift down to here. So let's try from the beginning. Uh-oh. Here we go. Now we're going to the verse. Move the left hand. Repeats over and over again, same thing. Then there's a break, and a Jay-Z song was on, So now we're in the chorus, which of course we're just going to be playing the same thing, but what you can do is move down an additional inversion. So the first inversion, and like I said, while we're in the chorus now, so we're building up even more than we were in the verse. In the verse, in the introduction, we started here in this inversion. When we kind of started to build up in the middle of the verse, we moved down to this inversion. And then, now that the chorus started, I moved down one more inversion to right here. Okay, so this is where we're going to end up playing the chorus through, and again, to keep it as full and as strong and as driving as possible. Same chords we did in the introduction. Okay. Then I think when it goes to the second verse, it just goes right back to the So I want to be sure that you hear the difference in what the left hand is doing in the beginning of the verse and introduction. So the left hand starts out on D flat, D flat, D flat, E flat. It's just a bunch of D flats and an E flat. Whereas once we start to drive the song, the left hand is doing a little bit more D flat, G flat, okay, G flat, B flat, B flat, E flat. Then it goes down, bum bum. Those last two notes are the same. Bum, 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 bum. Then here's the last two notes I just showed you. Okay, so the left hand varies a little bit, but for the most part, the right hand is staying the same. Throughout. It's just a matter of what inversion you want to play it here, or here, or down here. Between those three inversions, the lower you go, the more driving and full your sound is going to be. Okay. So then there's a bridge. So let's see. From the chorus now. Bridge. So the left hand's going to go left hand's going to go B flat up to E flat, then back down to B flat. B flat's always your starting point for the bridge. Okay, so you start on B flat, first go up to E flat, then back to B flat, now down to A flat, then repeat that whole pattern B flat up to E flat. Okay, so we've been starting at the bridge, B flat up to E flat, then B flat down to A flat, then B flat up again to E flat, and then we're going to end the bridge. We go A flat, and then we go to D flat. Okay, and I'll put that with the right hand so you can hear what I'm doing in context. So when we start out the bridge, left hand is on the B flat, like I said. The right hand is on a D flat major chord. D flat, F and A flat. And then when the left hand goes to E flat, right hand leaves this D flat. These two notes just shift to the right to a G flat major chord. D flat, G flat, B flat. Okay, so from the beginning of the bridge, back to the same chord. Now, when the left hand goes down to A flat, right hand's going to go down to a B major chord. B, E flat, and G flat over A flat. Okay, this can also be considered an A minor 7th, I believe. So let's go back to the beginning of the bridge. And then, forgot what I said. Repeat, back to B flat and D flat major. Then when the left hand goes to A flat, right hand is going to go back to this B major chord over A flat. And then at the last two beats, you hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the last two beats of that 8 count, you're going to go up to D flat while the right hand stays on this B flat B major chord. Okay, so let's go through the bridge slowly one more time with the counts. Then that should be almost done with the song. So D flat major over B flat. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, lost my count. I'm starting over again. 2. Back to D flat major over B flat. There we go. B over A flat. Now back to the A flat over B, or B flat over B over A. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're back at the introduction. Okay. Back at the. Okay. So let's run through everything, I guess, slowly. I'll play through basic, then I'll show you some little things you can add to kind of spice up your playing a little bit, so it's not just so plain with just these triad chords. Okay, so introduction. Verse. song was on. We're gonna jump to the chorus next. Left hand goes to B flat, and right hand goes to D flat. And the song fades out doing that. Okay, that's the whole song in a nutshell. Some things you can do to kind of spice it up a little bit. What I was doing. So you can kind of play around with your hands in G flat position. You can play around with flipping between. You're playing this D flat and just rolling between A flat and B flat, or A flat and D flat. Just rolling up or rolling down. Rolling around this A flat. You can always do just unison runs. Another thing you can do, G flat major chord, just pull that down and just kind of go down, move down progress down the piano in the middle of the progression. So I'll do it slowly. Here I'm just doing G flat, shift down to D flat, then rotate to another version of D flat, D flat, I'm sorry, G flat, D flat, inverted down, D flat. Okay, so you just scales are always good to do. Be sure you stay in time, and be sure once you get to the end of each measure that you land right back on the G flat and the G flat major chord. As long as you can play around in between the chords, but as long as at the beginning of each measure you're back on the chord you're supposed to be, okay? See, I'm still back here on the G flat on the 1 beat. I think that's pretty much it. The song is fairly simple, as simple as you want to make it. With practice, you'll be playing along with the CD in probably about 20-30 minutes. Really simple song, okay? This is TJ with Piano Clubhouse. Just showed you Party in the USA with Miley Cyrus. Thanks for watching.